The rock world is going through changes. You recognize that song. The beloved Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, has died. He is credited with pioneering the genre of heavy metal, although his music with Black Sabbath and as a solo artist transcends genres and generations alike. I want to bring in acclaimed blues and rock guitarist Joe Bonamassa, who just released a new album titled Breakthrough last week. Joe, it's always good to talk to you, my friend, but under circumstances like today, when we're all mourning the passing of Ozzy, I want to share with our viewers this Facebook post that you wrote where you talk about having the honor of playing a solo on one of his albums. What did Ozzy mean to you just as a musician, and what was the experience like for you?
Well, you know, Ozzy was one of a kind, and you know, he represented like the best of rock and roll, because it was rebellion. It was your parents didn't like it, and that was the thing about Black Sabbath and his solo work, and he was always pushing the boundaries. And, you know, in my experience, I got called in around 2004, 2005, to play a solo on a record called Undercover. And it was a covers record that Ozzy was doing, and he did the Buffalo Springfield song, For What It's Worth. And I just thought that was a really interesting cover for Ozzy to be doing. And I also said to myself, I'm like, why are they calling me? Did every rock guitar player in Los Angeles disappear spontaneously at the same time? So I got to do this, and it's always been one of the honors of my career to have played on an Ozzy Osbourne record. And I mean, his legacy, you know, will live on, and the music that he made was so profound. And one of the things too, people I think overlook, he was a great singer. You know, when you hear people try to cover his music, great singers trying to cover him, you realize how high a voice he had, how rich a voice he had, and he maintained that voice up until the very end. I mean, his last gig, he sounded great a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. I've been sort of talking a lot about Ozzy since his passing to just people here, even at CBS News, trying to explain how Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne essentially defined the blueprint for heavy metal music. But specifically, it was Ozzy's haunting voice, backed by those riffs that Tony created. And let's not forget, as a guitar player, you will appreciate, of course, the other guitarists that Ozzy launched into the stratosphere when he went solo, including the late great Randy Rhoads and guys like Zakk Wylde. Talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, his selection of guitar players was kind of like the heavy metal version of what John Mayall was doing in the late 60s with his band, you know, finding Eric Clapton or hiring Eric Clapton, Peter Green, Mick Taylor. You know, I mean, when you talk about the great guitar players that play with Ozzy Osbourne, I mean, Tony Iommi, obviously in Black Sabbath, Brad Gillis, Jakey Lee, Zakk Wylde, Randy Rhoads. So he always required someone on the guitar that was forward-thinking and hungry. I mean, I read a quote from Ozzy himself and say, like, you know, he wanted someone who wanted to kick Eddie Van Halen's butt on guitar, and that was a thing for him. And his music really required a very specialized guitarist, because it was very simple music, but you know, people like Zakk Wylde, like, they put their own stamp on it. You know, people like Jakey Lee and Randy Rhoads. I mean, you hear those songs, and it would sound a lot different with somebody else playing the guitar. And it was, you know, and that was him. That was him being a band leader and someone that you know, really embraced, you know, the electric guitar as part of their composition.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think most people will know him for, of course, is the reality show that he did. And I think that was wonderful, and it sort of kept him in the public eye. But I think all the things that you just talked about, for those of us who are fans of music in general, but Ozzy and Black Sabbath, it's the legacy of the music that he leaves behind. Those vocals, those lyrics, those riffs, you know, it's something that we'll never hear again.